Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live. If you do not know me, my name is Abby Taylor, and I've been actively growing my business here for almost 7 years now. I'm a mom of three, live in Madison, Wisconsin, homeschooling family, retired music teacher, and leader of an amazing Sapphire team here, and could not be more thankful for the opportunity to share with you guys tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about the topic showing up for yourself and your business, even when life feels heavy. I will tell you guys that this past week has been very difficult for me. A lot of really heavy life things flying at me left and right, which really left me feeling stressed, high anxiety, the kind that makes your entire body tense up. Yeah, that was me. So I was feeling really down and out, and I was thinking about leading this call, and I found myself really struggling to come up with a topic that would, and I really honestly was like, can someone else just take this call that is probably a lot more qualified than I am right now? But, I was tempted to kind of run and hide. But as a leader for my team, this community, my own family, it was really important that I continued to choose to show up, even on the hardest days. What I'm learning, you guys, is we don't have to show up perfectly, but we can show up faithfully. And that is what matters. After mulling over a lot of different call option topic options, it wasn't until literally a few days ago that I finally had clarity. And lo and behold, it was the topic I chose was directly related to the trials I'd been facing. It's funny how that works. But you guys, God is so perfect in his timing. So this topic is very personal to me, and I'm guessing that you guys can probably relate to it too. Because, guys, let's just be real. Life doesn't pause when we're building our business. In fact, life keeps on going and sometimes faster than we want it to. Life happenings can feel in your face, front and center, and that is when it can be really tempting to want to take your foot off of the pedal or even just wait until things settle down or get easier. So, if you guys have felt like this before, where life kind of felt heavy, hard, and you almost felt like you were just tempted to let your business take the back seat, I want you to drop yes in the chat and just know that you guys are not alone. What I've found, you guys, is there will always be life things that pop up, trials we have to face, lessons we have to learn through. We do have a choice. We can either let the hard things stop us, or we can find a way forward to lean in, to grow through it, to keep showing up anyways. I know it is not easy, but you guys, it is worth it and it is important because the hard things do not disqualify you. They don't mean you aren't cut out for this. They are part of the journey that shapes your strength, your story, and your success. So tonight I've got three amazing women from my team with me, and I will tell you that they are no strangers to the hard, the heavy, and the busyness of life. They are women who continue to show up courageously in their businesses despite facing trials in their lives. They really are the true definition of perseverance, and they inspire me every day. And I'm so thankful for them and excited to hear from them tonight. So I want to encourage you all that are here tonight to open up your ears, your mind, and your heart as you guys glean wisdom from these leaders. First up, we have Amber Peters, who is the newest jewel on our team. She had an insane March, you guys, and ranked up to Emerald and is now 2 ranks from the tippy top of the company. So let's hear it for her here in the chat. And Amber, take it away.
Oh my gosh, you saying that out loud just like makes my hands sweat. I haven't heard that out loud yet. Well, thank you so much for letting me come and speak tonight. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Amber Peters, obviously. I live in Port Richey, Florida. I'm a mom of two little babies, a 3-year-old boy and a 7-month-old girl. And I have been with Plexus, it'll be 3 years this month. Obviously, I just ranked up to Emerald this past month, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys a little bit about tonight is what last month kind of taught me and the mindset that I had to have pushing through all of the hard things because I'm going to be real with you guys, last month was not easy. um, so, the whole topic for what I'm going to be talking about is how you cannot tie your actions to your feelings. You have to tie them to your why and your commitment because if you're constantly letting your emotions drive your actions, you're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel frustrated and like you're spinning your wheels. I can relate to that a lot because I've done that. And when your actions are rooted in a purpose and a commitment, you'll keep moving forward even when things start to feel hard. So last month I was obviously pushing for a really big goal. And it wasn't the first time that I pushed for this goal either. It was the second time because I tried pushing for this rank back in December and I did not make it. And to be honest, that stung a little bit. It hurt. I had to sit with that disappointment and figure out what went wrong and decide how I wanted to move forward. And honestly, I had a lot of feelings about it. A lot. I felt a little bit defeated. I doubted myself if I could even do this. I had thoughts like, if I didn't make it then, what makes me think I can now? And I could have stopped right there. I could have let those feelings take over and decide my future for me. But I didn't. And I'm so glad that I didn't because if I had, I wouldn't be standing here today and having actually hit that goal. And, just let me tell you guys, let me just tell you guys, like, everything about last month was not easy. Literally coming off that boat from the cruise ship, my son got extremely sick, and then my daughter decided that she just didn't want to sleep anymore. I was running on fumes. I had gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep every single night last month, and still, and some nights I didn't even get to sleep at all. And then I was hiring a babysitter to watch my kids for the month of March. That way I could make this push. And the babysitter that I had decided on actually ended up going, she was pregnant and went into labor early. And I lost my babysitter as well, the one that I had lined up. All of my plans that I had made were gone with my children. And if you don't know that I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have anybody else to rely on to watch my kids for me throughout the day. Um, and on top of that, like losing the babysitter, not having support like at home throughout the day. Um, my fiance Brandon, sorry, I'm like checking my notes, losing my place in my notes. My fiance Brandon, he owns a construction company. So he is working long hours. He's not home throughout the day to help me. I'm usually putting the kids to bed and doing all the housework, just taking care of the kids, cooking the meals, and just keeping the house running and building this business on top of it. So, yeah, I could have had all the excuses in the world why I couldn't make this work. And honestly, no one would have blamed me because I am a busy person. And there were so many moments in the middle of the chaos last month where I caught myself thinking things like, I can't do this. This is way too much. Or what if I push and still don't make it again? And those thoughts would try and take over, especially late at night when I was exhausted and not sleeping already because I had a baby keeping me awake. But I had to stop and ask myself, are these thoughts helping me get where I want to go, or are they keeping me stuck? And that's when I decided to shift my thoughts. And instead of thinking, I can't do this, I started thinking, I've done hard things before and I can do this too. Instead of thinking, this is too much, I told myself that this is just a season and the outcome is going to be worth it. And I started thinking more about my why than my feelings in those moments. And that mental shift just kind of changed everything. Excuse me. And what kept me going and what I kept coming back to was my why. There's two big reasons why I pushed for this rank and why I keep moving forward in my business. Number one is being my family. I want to build an income that gives us freedom and the option to bring Brandon home from his job. I want to create something that gives me a purpose and something that's mine outside of just being a mom. And the second thing that that is a part of my why is I push for others. I love watching people grow. And I love watching people rise up and believe in themselves again, just like this business did for me. And that fills me up so much. That lights a fire underneath me. And hitting this rank meant that I was able to do that and to help more people and to show others what's possible. So when things feel overwhelming and when sleep was non-existent, because there's a lot of that last one, it still is. My health was gone, my house was messy, and I was juggling everything on my own. I reminded myself that this isn't just about me. This is about who I'm doing it for and why I started in the first place. So if you're in a hard season and if you're exhausted or you're feeling like nothing's going right, I want to remind you that your feelings don't get to lead you. Your why and commitment do. And you always have the power to change your thoughts because what you do in the middle of chaos, that's what shapes your success. There's one thing that I always say, and I learned this at my last career at Buckle, the clothing store, is something we always say to each other, or what we used to say to each other is, we lead the day, don't let the day lead you. And I think about that in my business often. When I wake up in the morning, I always have to think, okay, how am I going to lead the day? Because if you don't say that right away in the morning, you can let your feelings build up and the day will just lead you and the day will just go by. So with that being said, let your actions be tied to your vision and not your mood and keep showing up. Even on the messy, chaotic, no sleepy days, someone out there needs to see you keep going so they believe they can too.
I love it, Amber. So much wisdom, so much knowledge. Thank you for sharing that with us. So proud of you for just your grit and your perseverance and showing up with that big belief and that positivity, because that is absolutely a big part of you and your team having such a successful March. So congratulations. All right, next we have Miranda Merchant, who is growing a team of women and mamas who are hungry for the more in their lives. And she hit her highest points ever in her business. So excited, Miranda, to hear from you.
Hey, you guys. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Miranda. I live in central Wisconsin. I've been with Plexus for just over 5 years now. Married to my husband Ed for 11 years. We have three little girls, ages 7, 5, and almost 2. In my free time, although as you're going to hear in just a little bit, I don't have a ton of that. But when I do have free time, I like to be in my ceramic studio and doing other artwork, being outside or traveling. So I am going to talk to you guys tonight about being busy and still moving your business forward. My life has always been busy. On top of building my Plexus business, I homeschool our two oldest girls. I have a almost 2-year old that is into everything right now. So she is like a full-time job on its own. I help my husband with our car wash, our rental properties, and our commercial building. And then I solo parent half of every single month. My husband leaves for work out of state. And that's just like, and then there's like all the normal things, right? Like, laundry, cooking, cleaning, appointments, church, trying to find time for a social life, all of the normal busy stuff. And these last couple months, we just turned the dial up even more. We had 3 trips to prep and go on. We had our leaders retreat cruise. We had a trip to Arizona, a trip to Missouri. The girls had a piano concert. We decided to add in some swimming lessons. I took on some extra things at church. We celebrated anniversaries and birthdays. So to say we've been busy is a little bit of an understatement. And then on top of all of that, we found out that Ed was probably going to lose his job. And so as you can imagine, that that was just a really, really heavy thing to deal with and try and manage. So to prepare for the worst, we made the choice to downsize. We had been considering selling our house for a while, and we decided that we needed to just be proactive and move forward with that. So we thought we had a plan lined up. We knew where we were moving. We got our house sold, and then that fell through. So we have no idea where we're going next. But in the last couple weeks, we've had to spend all of our time between traveling, packing up our house, having it ready to move out of, and then also house hunting and figuring out where exactly we are moving to. So it would have been really, really easy to, and still would be really, really easy for me to say this is way too much. Check out of my business. And honestly, you guys, I've done that before in the past. But I wasn't happy with the results from doing that. And so this time I just really leaned into small, consistent actions. So even when life has felt so unbelievably chaotic, I just committed to doing my IPA daily. I've stayed visible on social media. Um, I've checked in with my team. I simplified some of my systems so that I could do things more effectively and more efficiently, a little bit faster. I utilized tools like ChatGPT to help me prepare my content for the whole month so I could take away that brain space. And then one of the really important things is I've had to say no to some really fun things. And as an Enneagram 7 and a very blue personality person, that was hard, but also I know what my priorities are, and I have to be really intentional with my time right now. Not forever, but right now I have to be. And so I have to say no to the things that don't align with our long-term goals. And like Abby said, because I chose to do all of those things, I hit my highest points ever last month, even in the midst of all of that. Because momentum, what I'm learning, it doesn't require perfection. It requires me being persistent. And it's not about doing absolutely everything every single day. It's just doing the right things every day. And so I promise you guys, I get it when you say you're busy. So am I. I assure you, every single person on this call is busy. But it is possible to manage your time better and to move through hard seasons without letting them completely derail your momentum. And you just have to decide that your goals still matter and be really, really intentional. So I will give you guys 2 quick tips. If you are also in a super busy season, figure out what your non-negotiables are. In a busy season, your time and energy are so stretched thin, and so you have to be very clear about what you need to do, like what your needle movers are. And that's going to be different for everybody. It could be sending 3 messages every day. It could be staying consistent in your stories. It could be checking in with certain people on your team, but whatever it is, commit to doing it and don't make excuses. Just do those things every day. And then my second tip would be making sure that you have systems in place that support you. I think that in the past, that was probably another reason that it was easy for me to just step away from my business, is because I didn't have systems in place that could help support me in that really busy time. So whether that is like a Google sheet to keep track of who you're reaching out to and when you need to follow up next, or creating a monthly content plan so you know exactly what you're posting every day, or having like follow-up scripts saved in the notes on your phones that you can copy and tweak and paste and free up some of that brain space. That's the stuff that's going to help you stay consistent. So again, if you are in a busy season, I am here to tell you, you can absolutely grow your business. I promise you, you can. Just figure out what those right things are to spend your time on, and then have some systems in place so that you can do things quicker and more efficiently.
I love it, Miranda. Speaking like a jewel, which it will not be long before you are there. So that was fantastic. I so admire you and just your commitment to your goals, your team, your family, your future. And you inspire me so much in your business habits. So great job, Miranda. Loved all your advice. All right. Lastly, we have the Hannah Wolf, who hit the 1,000 point club in her business last month. That was really, really fun to celebrate, which means that she's on her way to Jewel Rank and all the amazing perks that come with it. So, Hannah, will you share with us?
Hello, everyone. I am very thankful that I get to share part of my story with all of you guys tonight. So, for those of you that don't know me, like Abby said, my name is Hannah Wolf. I'm a Senior Ruby Ambassador here with Plexus. I'm married to my husband, Logan. He's a construction worker. And we have two little girls, a almost 4-year-old and then almost 2-year-old. So, their birthdays are coming up here in a month or two. And because of Plexus, I was actually able to leave my full-time nursing career in just 11 months. So that is me in a little nutshell. Okay. But tonight I'm going to be sharing something a little bit more vulnerable with all of you. And honestly, I wasn't really sure if I was going to share what I'm about to share, but I know that if I've been going through something hard, then there's probably a good chance that at least one of you on this call is going through something hard or difficult in your life as well. So, this past year hasn't been easy. I feel like I've kind of just been on this whole emotional roller coaster. And so, when Abby had asked me this question about, what could potentially hold someone back from working their business, and, just how certain things are kind of out of our control, but we can choose how we respond to them. Right away, there was only one thing that really came to mind because it's been like happening all year. And so many of you don't, know this, but this year I've experienced, multiple miscarriages. And so it's honestly been one of the hardest things that I've ever had to go through. You're so excited and then, you're in such a low. And so just mentally, like physically and emotionally has just been like this whole roller coaster. And so my first miscarriage actually happened right after my first leaders retreat, first ever trip with Plexus, and that was in Punta Cana. And that was when I was like totally new to Plexus. I didn't even know what any of this was. And then my second miscarriage actually happened. I was about 10 weeks, and it actually happened just 1 week before I went to the Silver Star Award that Amber Peters had earned back in October, and she asked me to be her guest. And then my third miscarriage actually happened about a week, like a few days before this last leaders retreat cruise to the Bahamas. So after my second miscarriage, I remember just like even questioning if I should go with Amber to Arizona. Like I felt like an emotional wreck, but I knew that I just knew I needed to go. Like I felt like I needed to get out of where I was and like just be by myself kind of, even though I was with Amber. And I was so honored that she had asked me to go. I was like, what? Me? Yeah. And then obviously all of that happened and that whole emotional roller coaster. And so when I was in Arizona, I remember sitting by the pool by myself and I just felt like overwhelmed. I felt lost. My mind was all over the place. And I just remember sitting in the chair by the pool, talking to God, asking, why is this happening to me? Like, what is the purpose in all of this? Like, this isn't what I planned. I want another baby so bad. And this is what happens like again. And like, what lesson are you trying to teach me here? Because I don't get it. And honestly, you guys, I could have shut down and I could have told Amber, nope, I'm not going. Sorry. I could have took a step back from my business and no one would have ever blamed me. But I knew that deep down that people needed me to show up and be there for them. Because here's the thing, you guys, is that life just doesn't stop when you're going through something hard. I still had to take care of my girls. I still needed to be there for my husband. My team needed me as a leader. My customers still needed my support. And, honestly, during all of those times, I needed something like that gave me a purpose. I felt like, And I needed something to help pull me out of that mental state that I was in. And so I kept going. I kept going with Plexus, not because like I was okay mentally, but because I knew that I literally couldn't stay stuck in that same emotional state and mindset that I was in. And this business just became something that was steady that I could like hold on to when it just kind of felt like everything was kind of falling apart at each one of those, times. And so I had to actually do a lot of mindset work during those times. And I kept thinking, this isn't the plan that I wanted. Okay. But I knew that God had other plans. And this was just a roadblock or a stepping stone that was leading me to something even bigger. And when that third miscarriage happened before the cruise, I felt like I had a much better mindset compared to the other ones because I had worked on changing my mindset. And so I had to keep, reminding myself that I was growing into, someone stronger because of these situations. And I realized that, I can still grieve and still show up. I can still show up for my kids, my husband, my team. And I figured out that, I didn't need to have it all together to keep going. I just had to be willing to keep going. And I want to be real honest, about what I've been walking through in my business the last few months too, because, it hasn't always been easy behind the scenes. There were days when I seriously wanted to quit, like days where I felt stretched and overwhelmed, and days that I thought to myself, like, what am I even doing here? But I made a decision and a decision to still treat my business like a business, even when I didn't feel like it. And, even when I felt like my life was hard and things were falling apart. And so I ended up focusing on the things that I could control. Okay. I knew that I could control my daily reach outs, my follow ups, connecting with my team, listening to podcasts, doing my daily IPA. And because of that consistency, I hit my highest points ever, like Abby said, not because I did something perfect or did a lot of or more of a certain task, but because I didn't stop when things got hard in my life. I just kept going and kept showing up. And so I want to share some tips with you guys that if any of you guys are going through a similar situation, or maybe it's, a death of a family member or, a job change or just anything like that, I want you guys to focus on what you can control. And what I mean by that is, focus on your mindset. And remember, you can control how you react to situations. You can control your own schedule and what you do with your time. And you can also control your attitude about everything. And when those hard moments, come up, I want you guys to anchor into that why, just like what Amber shared earlier. Remind yourself why you're here and why you're even started, in the first place. And here's the thing is that if you don't have a strong why, you will end up giving up and letting your mindset take over. So make sure that you have a strong why of why you are here. So I just want you guys to know that you don't have to quit or stop working your business. You just have to continue to do something, just 1% better each day. And so I want you guys to, just take a few minutes this week and just ask yourself, what am I walking through right now? And how can I shift my mindset and trust what's going on in my life, that this isn't going to last forever and that this is literally just a stepping stone for better things coming. And I also want to share that this is a book that I had I read this when I was, going through some mindset things. It's literally called Mindset. So I hope you guys all remember the title here, but it's called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. You guys see this kind of, I can drop it in the chat when Abby's talking, but this really just kind of helped me kind of overcome some of my mindset struggles. So if anyone needs a good mindset book, I recommend this and listening to podcasts, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Hannah. You guys, we just don't know when someone else is walking through something really tough, right? Thank you for being so vulnerable with us and letting us into your life. I know that was not easy. We love you, and you truly are one of the strongest mamas I know. And I know that you'll be able to impact so many people through your story. So in closing, you guys, I want you to know that you are capable, that you do have what it takes, even on the hardest days. I want to encourage you guys to anchor your identity in Christ, not in your circumstances. Life won't wait for a perfect season, and God doesn't waste a single hard season. And your yes, even in your weakness, still plants seeds. Guys, this business we have, it's a gift. It's a blessing, not a burden. When we show up and steward it well, it can bring joy and stability even in the hard. So in the chat, I want to hear from you guys before we jump off. What is one thing you can commit to doing this week in your business? Even if it's hard, even if it feels hard, but you're committing to doing it no matter what. I want to hear it in the chat. And once you guys drop that for accountability, then you guys can jump off the call. And while you're dropping in the chat, I want to share a verse here, Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Thanks so much for being on our call tonight, guys.